everyone, it's Annalisa from In the Hidden Kingdom. So I want to talk about the runner-chaser dynamic. So firstly, we know that this twin flame connection is your spiritual awakening. And you, listening to me, you are the divine feminine energy. And your divine counterpart is your divine masculine energy. So all twin flames go in separation. And during the separation time is when you, the divine feminine, who is more spiritually awakened, does the inner work. But there does come a time when your twin flame does come back. And this is how you also know, right, that this is a true twin flame connection, because a true twin flame will come back at some point, whether it be they come back 3 days later, they come back a week later, they come back a month later, a year, 3 years later, 5 years later. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, the time. But when they do come back, that means that your energy is a little bit more balanced. So you're allowing them space to come back. And when they do come back, should you take them back right away? And this is where some people get stuck in this runner-chaser back and forth, because the divine feminine energy usually believes that, well, when they come back to you, that it's okay to just go back into a relationship. Now remember, this twin flame journey is not considered a, quote, relationship as we know it, as you would have like a soulmate relationship. So you can't treat this connection like a soulmate relationship. So when they do come back, you have to take them back very slowly, because if this was the first or second time that they came back, typically it takes a little bit longer for the divine feminine energy to be fully balanced, and they're learning how to balance that energy, right? That merging of the energies, because the divine feminine is controlling the energy of both, right? Because you are one soul and two bodies. So you, as the divine feminine, you are balancing both energies. Although it's one soul, right? It's still two bodies and two minds. So you are the awakened one. You are able to balance the energy. So you have to learn how to do that. So the more that you learn about energy frequency, right, and how that works, you will be more successful in balancing the energy, because the divine feminine is usually the push energy. And any time that you are showing your divine masculine energy that you need them, that you want them, right, you're only pushing them away. So if they do come back and you're opening up that space for them to come back, right, you're opening up that space for your divine masculine to come back. You now have to learn how to keep that that energy neutralized, right? Where you don't have expectations of them, because if you expect them to act a certain way, then they will only run again, right? So, and this is, I feel like, this is where many divine feminines struggle here. And it takes time to really learn how to balance the energy. And this is something that you'll always have to balance. In this type of a connection, you'll always be balancing this connection. So it does take time to learn how to do that. So you have to understand that this awakening is more than just balancing the energy, right? You also have to remember that you have your kundalini, right, energy at the base of your spine that is activated, right, and is coming through your chakras, right? So that's also in play. And in addition, there's also going to be triggers that are happening, right? Because that's what your twin flame does. They trigger you. And when they trigger you, you have to learn to to not be triggered. You have to learn to alchemize that energy into love. Because if you're triggered, then what happens is you may be pushing energy again and you're reacting. You're only going to push your twin flame away again. So all this takes a lot of time. And the divine feminine energy is balancing so much at this point. You're learning about, what it is that you need to do in reference to your soul mission, because most twin flames are called into some sort of mission, a passion that they are really in tune, right? Something that they do in order to shine their light. And so that's another area where the divine feminine is, trying to align with. So you have the Kundalini experience, right? Which also causes physical ailments at times, right? Not feeling good physically, right? And having ascension symptoms. All that is part of the Kundalini awakening and arising as well, right? And also you're also being drawn to a lot of metaphysical part of your awakening, right? You may be interested in like reading spiritual books and crystals, and all that comes to arise for tarot cards and oracle cards. And that's another area that you're trying to possibly learn, especially if this is your first awakening. So you have that as well. And you may also be going through dark night of the soul, right? Releasing layers of your ego. And although you may have had a dark night of the soul in the beginning of the journey, there may be at times it gets triggered again. So you're learning to release more layers of your ego. So as you learn to align your soul, right, then you reach a higher state of consciousness. And at that point, it becomes a little bit easier to balance your energy for both of you. But you are responsible as the divine feminine in balancing this energy. So this does take time. So give yourself plenty of time to go through this, and know that when your divine masculine does come back in, that you want to take your person back in very slowly without any kind of expectations. And as you align, you're going to feel unconditional love for your twin flame. So you're not going to be too concerned about whether they come back or not, because you won't have that addictive energy that you did way back in the beginning of the journey, where you were constantly, looking at their social media, reading text messages, looking back at pictures and so forth. You won't have any of that anymore. You won't have that need to be with your twin flame. So that is where you want to be, in that type of emotion where it doesn't matter whether they're with you or not. And it becomes much easier at that point to be able to balance the energy, because it'll almost be like talking to a friend, right? So whether they call you back or not, it's irrelevant, right? At some point they'll call back. If they don't call back, then they don't call back, right? So it's that kind of energy that you want to have with your twin flame. So that's where you want to be. So again, when they do come back, take them in very slowly. And if they leave again, which they most likely will the first few times, that's the time for you to go a little bit deeper. But I just wanted to go a little bit more into that runner-chaser dynamic, because so many twins go through this. And then there are other twins that go into full separation. So neither one is better than the other. And I think a lot of twin flames that believe the runner-chaser is hard, and then there are others that believe just being in full separation is hard. So either one is basically the same. It's not one that's better than the other. It's just the way your journey is set up for you. So I hope this explanation was helpful. So feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and have a wonderful, beautiful day.